Story 1. When they start trying to tell me gossip about other people, especially if it is about people who are supposed to be their friends. Story 2. I am not sure how to describe it. It is more of a gut feeling. Some people have a performative essence about them. It seems like nothing they portray to the outside world is genuine. It is always an attempt to create an image of themselves. Everything they do or say seems forced in some way. Story 3. Only talking about themselves, not listening to you, and just waiting for their chance to talk in conversation. Once you notice people do this, you will see it everywhere, and it drives me crazy. Story 4. It is much easier if you assume everyone is fake and look for signs that someone is real. Most people, to some degree, wear a mask of polite dishonesty. Real people's words align with their actions. Story 5. Extremely happy smiley people. I understand some people are optimistic, but there is a type of person who is so overly happy and smiley that it becomes creepy. Story 6. I am a Christian. Most Christians are fine, but if someone leads with this to gain trust, they are probably not trustworthy. Story 7. If you ever go to a lawyer and he immediately tells you that your case is an absolute win, that the district attorney is incompetent, and the judge always rules in his favor, you should leave immediately. Story 8. When someone is overly nice, it is almost condescending. I know there are kind people in the world, but that level of sweetness is always a red flag to me. Story 9. They ignore your presence until they find out who you are or have a need for you. Then suddenly, they are all over you. Story 10. Syrupy with a very intense gaze, as if they are trying to read you. I do not really know how to describe it, but the moment I saw the foster mother in the movie Bring Her Back, I knew she was one of those people who pretends to be sweet and easygoing but is actually coiled like a spring, ready to attack. Story 11. Fake people generally do not remember what you have told them in past conversations. They will meet you, be pleasant, and inquire about what is going on in your life. You might tell them something significant or small that is happening. The next time you meet them, which could literally be the next day, they will not have any recollection of what you said. They will take in the information as if they are hearing it for the first time. This indicates they were never interested in anything you had to say to begin with. All the niceness and curiosity is fake. They are just passing time. Story 12. Any giggles, grins, or side glances toward their friend are signs that they do not actually like you and are making fun of you. Story 13. Obviously depends on circumstances, but the overly nice, becoming close very quickly, and negative talk about former friends. I am very trusting and have always struggled to make friends, so I have fallen for this fake or narcissistic trap a couple of times. It is always nice to have someone be very interested in you, but then suddenly you are months in and realize they are not what they seem, have isolated you from everyone else, demand your attention, time, and energy, and make you feel bad whenever you are with them. It is a hard lesson to learn that there are people like that. I am glad I have learned it now. Story 14. When people speak with more authority or experience than they actually have and are completely wrong about what they are saying. Story 15. They are distracted while talking to you, looking around, and leave as soon as they think someone more interesting or important has arrived. Story 16. People who tell you how empathetic, wonderful, or nice they are. I had a manager who was always martyring herself. It was so obnoxious. My commute is horrible, but I'm such a dedicated, passionate person for showing up. All my kids' friends say I'm the mom they wish they had. Or one guy I went on a first date with who said, all the women I work with hate me, but I'm a teddy bear. There was no second date. Despite him drunk texting me on multiple apps, I was done after that sentence. Story 17. They have designed everything and look like a billboard. They mention famous names in every conversation, regardless of relevance. Story 18. When people agree with everything everyone says and seem to get along with everyone, it is impossible to be true to yourself. Story 19. When they keep things superficial and show only plain interest in personality, they do not allow you to know much about them. This behavior is not just fake. It indicates traits associated with borderline psychopathy. Story 20. Anyone who says, I am so honest, I am so smart, I am so funny, I only have male friends because other women are so dramatic, or I am such a nice guy. Tells me exactly who they are. Story 21. When someone says, I do not have many friends, the first time you meet them, and there is no clear reason, such as recently moving, there is usually a reason why people do not like to spend time with them. Story 22. I have an aunt who would laugh at something you said for a second and then immediately return to a neutral expression. It was very unsettling. Later, she became upset about the amount of inheritance money she received and distanced herself from my family as if we meant nothing to her. Story 23. Hearing them lie in front of other people. Example, you finally got here. I've been waiting an hour. When you saw them arrive 5 minutes earlier. Story 24. They act too friendly. Not everyone will notice this warning sign, but I know there are people here who have experienced abuse in their own lives and understand what I am talking about. People with a strong ability to detect falsehoods can recognize this immediately. Story 25. For me, it is an intuitive energy thing very hard to describe. It probably comes down to body language and micro-expressions, as well as getting a feeling from them. I kept warning my sister about one of her friends whom I knew was fake from the moment I met him, but she did not listen until he betrayed her and her husband 5 years later. They now have much less doubt about how I read people. Story 26. I don't have a way of immediately telling if someone is fake, but if I have a suspicion, I tell them something completely false about myself. If it somehow gets back to me or I hear about it, then I know. Story 27. Fear. People pretend they can be sneaky about hiding it. I see through such petty deception. Stonewalling, abuse, ghosting, and shadow banning without reasons or context are cowardly moves. Period. There is a reason it is called fear itself. It is because fear is a lie even if danger is real. Honesty requires courage. It is only for the brave. Story 28. Too many or excessive compliments can sometimes be a nervous coping mechanism, and that is understandable because everyone gets nervous. However, a person who appears confident and continues to give compliments excessively is a red flag. Story 29. When people try too hard, it seems unnatural. Real people are genuine. Stop wearing big brand clothing, driving rental Lamborghinis, and taking pictures outside someone else's jet. Genuine individuals do not flaunt their situation. They prefer to keep it private so others will leave them alone and allow them to go about their business in peace. I have a pretty decent situation, and I wear Walmart t-shirts and worn-out sneakers most of the time. Story 30. Not exactly false. However, if someone is very attractive and intelligent but has no friends, and worse, if those closest to them do not trust this person, I would not even dare to talk to them. Story 31. -100 comment karma. Come on, if you are going to be an obvious bot, at least have the common decency to use proper grammar. Story 32. Anyone who says I keep proof of everything to use against people is mistaken. I knew someone who always said they kept anything told in confidence in case they needed to use it against them in the future. It is like planning to weaponize personal moments with someone. That says all that is needed to know. Story 33. If someone uses my name more than once when talking to me, I consider them a car salesman and remain suspicious forever. Some situations do not count, such as with friends or casual settings, but I do not accept false familiarity from someone who repeats my name excessively. After reading other responses, I realize I might have interpreted this more as how to identify a conman rather than just a fake person. Story 34. When they start repeating Fox News talking points as if they are their own personal opinions. No, we do not need to know your thoughts on Los Angeles's homeless population. It already appears frequently on my social media feed. Story 35. You can tell by their tone and how they speak, such as being overly joyful to see someone they barely know. I am a man and observe women greeting each other and cringe. They smile and are polite even though they cannot stand each other. It is amazing. Men just do not talk to each other. Story 36. In the specific world of online dating, expecting the man to pay for an expensive dinner on a first date is common. Nothing seems more insincere than demanding payment for simply showing up. Story 37. Everyone, and I mean everyone, likes them. I'm not one to be jealous or have malicious intentions, but no one is liked by everyone. That immediately makes me standoffish. What really sells it is they can usually tell when someone sees through their nonsense and starts acting indifferent towards you. Story 38. They never have a bad day or even a bad moment. Come on. Nobody is perfect. Stop acting like you never shout when you are at your limit. Story 39. Sadly, anyone who is religious or faith-based but also supports Republicans or right-wing groups and/or worships Donald Trump are the biggest fake people I have ever met. Story 40. If they automatically assume the personality and style of whoever they spend the most time with, it is unusual. More women do this than men. Story 41. When they ask intrusive questions right from the start and seem too invested in your life to have something to discuss with other smear campaigners. Story 42. For me, it is written on their face in neon. My unique ability is that I can instinctively, instantly, and unconsciously recognize the difference between genuine emotions and pretend emotions. For example, I am highly allergic to anyone who tries to sell something without being genuinely enthusiastic about what they are selling, whether it is a product, service, or their own popularity. Most social media influencers make me very uncomfortable. The only exceptions are those for whom their passion, such as music, coffee, comedy, or lockpicking, is their motivation rather than just gaining followers or attention. In real life, I do not associate or interact with fake people. They are completely excluded from my life. It is better this way. You will never be considered a friend, even if you are genuine, if you associate with fake people and involve me in social situations where fake people are present. You will instantly lose my trust and respect, and I will avoid socializing with you except one-on-one. Story 43. Taking in that over-your-head way, super friendly, like you are 100 miles away. My kind teachers do this, and it drives me nuts. Story 44. This is a basic element of filtering out people in any environment, whether it is work, family, or otherwise. Story 45. A few years ago at Christmas, my spouse and I went to his family for the holiday. We arrived, and his sister-in-law was already there. As we walked in, his mother-in-law and father-in-law greeted us warmly, saying, "Oh, it's so great to see you. You look wonderful. Merry Christmas," while giving us hugs and kisses. We all then sat down, and they started talking negatively about her sister, brother-in-law, niece, and nephew. They spoke nonstop about how horrible they all were, how nice it would be if they did not show up, but they had to invite them because it was the holiday. Then the doorbell rang, and her sister and brother-in-law arrived. Her mother-in-law and father-in-law opened the door with the same enthusiastic greeting and gave them hugs and kisses. I realized they had greeted us the same way when we arrived, and I knew they had been speaking negatively about me before we came. Story 46. If their social media is filled with obviously staged pictures intended to make them appear to have an interesting life. Story 47. Look for the subtle sound of a winding mechanism, sometimes disguised as wheezing or heavy breathing. Story 48. When you look at their hands and their fingers are fused together, have too many or too few, you immediately know it is artificial intelligence. Story 49. I am one of those people who most individuals think is fake. But once they get to know me, I am exactly like that. I do not know. People usually expect my true colors to show, but they do not. It makes it hard for me to spot other fake people. Story 50. When they try to downplay their achievements with an air of false humility, you know they have nothing to actually show for. Story 51. My narcissistic mother-in-law told me that my husband is lazy, her sister is not a wise spender, her friend is a liar, and many more. I wonder what she tells her friends about me behind my back. My point is, a person is fake like my narcissistic mother-in-law when he or she says bad things about everyone behind their backs but is also a rude person. They like playing the victim when most of the time they are the villain. Story 52. When people constantly try to talk like motivational speakers, especially those who always make videos telling others you have to do this or you have to do that to succeed in life or become a better person, it becomes repetitive. Anyone can recite motivational quotes all day, and others often accept it as if the speaker is a genius. This also applies to anyone involved in groups whose names start with moms of. Story 53. Inconsistencies in their character, specifically how they speak to and treat others based on the people around them. It is one thing to cater to the people or the situation in a given instance. That is just reading the room, being considerate and personable. It is another thing to change one's personality, actions, speech, and level of respect toward others. Story 54. Meeting a girl for the first time and she gives you the high-pitched, "Oh my God, you are so pretty. I love your It is overcompensating because I know very well if I become your friend, you will talk badly behind my back." Story 55. They never mention anything negative that has just happened to them, or if something bad did happen, they pretend it was not bad at all. Story 56. People pleasing, but I say that very lightly and with kindness because it usually comes from a place of wanting to protect yourself. I knew a girl who would be so sweet and amicable to your face, but she was secretly stewing on all these little things until she would just explode over something. It would seemingly come out of nowhere. I grappled with whether that was fake or a trauma response, but I think being understandable or coming from trauma does not make it any less fake. She couldn't handle confrontation, so she would put on a facade of no worries until there were very much worries. She also was not that interested in correcting that behavior the numerous times I tried to talk to her about it. I think about this a lot when I assess others or my own behavior now. Is this genuine kindness? Or is it people-pleasing? More often than not, it is fake and you are not actually being kind. Not to the person you are faking it for, and not to yourself in the long run. Story 57. When they behave like a completely different person around certain individuals, depending on their behavior and interests. Story 58. When it is the first time I am conversing with someone and they are speaking negatively about everyone and their brother, as soon as I leave, I know I am next. Story 59. Wearing anything with a prominent brand name or logo. Right ear Chanel, left ear Nelly earrings are, I think, the worst I have seen. You are literally just wearing a brand name. They do not even look good. Story 60. You have a problem? They have the same one a week later, but it is worse. Did you have a mild head cold that you recovered from? They do now, but they had to see a doctor to get an antibiotic. Did you have issues with your neighbor? They have the same issues now, but they have to call their landlord about it. Were you tailgate on your way to see them? A week later, they will tell you about someone driving erratically whom they had to call the police on. Did a man act creepy towards you on an app? Suddenly, they cannot talk to any man in real life without saying he is a creep. Story 61. It is hard to tell if someone is fake right away. You cannot look for clues because they might have anxiety and just be awkward. Story 62. Their body language and eye contact indicate whether they are actively engaged with you or looking for a way out of the conversation. Story 63. I'm fine. With a tight smile and a fake laugh. +1 with glassy eyes. Yeah, they are not fine. Someone who smiles without their eyes might also be considered fake. But I just take it as being polite. So whatever, especially those working in services. They are not going to cry behind the cashier while serving you. Totally normal. A bad talker, on the other hand. Story 64. Forced smiles or something along the lines of creepy smiles from the person create a personal feeling of discomfort and lack of trust in what they are telling you. If you are not feeling confident about the situation, you can always ask someone who knows them better. Maybe they have a better understanding of the person. Story 65. They tell you how many friends they have and how great their friends are. Every time I have heard this, it has been an insecure person who will bend whichever way helps their fragile ego. Story 66. If they are in the window of a clothing store and standing very still for extended periods with a blank expression on their face, that is usually a subtle hint. Story 67. They are chiropractors. If their job is based on being a deceiver to people who are genuinely coming to them in a vulnerable position for help in exchange for only their money, what do you think they will do to you for your time and energy? Story 68. Their skin has the texture of rubber, despite looking normal. Body temperature of 20 degrees Celsius or lower. Every tooth is an incisor. Speaks in the voice of a small child, despite having an adult body. Persistent smell of petrichor. Always steers the conversation to the location of the closest oil refinery. Only appears at night, trying to lure you into the woods. Story 69. If someone in their family goes off on them, that is a sign they are being fake and awful enough that their own blood cannot stand it. If multiple family members go off on them, that is a true sign they are definitely fake and probably not a good person at their core, no matter how much they claim to be. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.